have found a terrestrial planet orbiting Proxima Centauri. It's the nearest exoplanet we will ever find because it's the nearest star to the Sun.
The James Webb Space Telescope has stunned the world yet again. Scientists point its massive mirrors at a distant exoplanet, expecting to find another lifeless world. But instead, something impossible appears. Lights, not natural light from a star or reflected moonlight, artificial light. The kind of illumination that only advanced civilizations could create. The discovery sends shockwaves through the scientific community. Have we finally found proof that we're not alone? What is this planet and how did it remain hidden until now? The planet, designated WASP 187b, orbits a Sun-like star over 300 light-years away. It was first detected by previous telescopes, but they only saw it as a shadow passing in front of its star. It wasn't until James Webb's infrared sensors focused on it that something astonishing was revealed, an unusual glow in its atmosphere. The light appeared too structured, too concentrated to be natural. At first, astronomers thought it might be thermal radiation, heat from the planet's surface. But Webb's instruments detected patterns in the spectrum that didn't match volcanic activity or any natural geological process. The light was consistent with something else entirely, cities. If true, this would be the most groundbreaking discovery in human history. A civilization advanced enough to illuminate its planet would be the first solid evidence of intelligent life beyond Earth. But before jumping to conclusions, scientists needed to rule out every other possibility. Could this strange glow be bioluminescent life forms in an alien ocean? Some deep-sea creatures on Earth produce their own light, like jellyfish and anglerfish. If this world had a biosphere filled with glowing organisms, it could explain the readings. However, the light appeared structured, forming lines, grids, and clusters, not random flashes like bioluminescent creatures would produce. Another possibility was light pollution from auroras. Earth has auroras when solar winds interact with our magnetic field, producing glowing waves of color. But the patterns detected on WASP 187b were static, not shifting like auroras. Then came an even bigger mystery. When Webb focused on the planet's night side, it still detected light. Normally, a planet's dark side should be, well, dark, especially a gas giant like WASP 187b. But something was still glowing in infrared. And when scientists enhanced the images, they found the light wasn't evenly spread. It came from specific points, almost like clusters of illumination scattered across the surface. This was the moment that changed everything. The arrangement of these glowing regions didn't match any natural geological formation. It wasn't volcanic, it wasn't an aurora, it wasn't lightning storms. It was something else, something that looked eerily like city lights. The idea was almost too impossible to believe. A gas giant with cities? Most planets with potential for life are rocky and Earth-like. But if an advanced species had adapted to live on a gas giant, perhaps in floating megastructures, then these lights could be artificial after all. But what kind of civilization could build structures that float in the clouds of a gas giant? The closest parallel in our own solar system would be Venus. Its surface is a fiery hellscape, but high in its atmosphere, conditions are much more Earth-like. Some scientists have speculated that if life ever developed there, it could have adapted to live in the clouds. Could WASP 187b have a civilization of sky dwellers living in suspended megacities? Structures hovering above an alien world glowing in the darkness? If so, how advanced would they have to be? But there was another problem. If these were city lights, why were they so bright? Even from hundreds of light years away, Webb could still detect them. That would mean these lights are incredibly powerful, possibly many times brighter than Earth's city lights. This raised a terrifying possibility. If these were artificial structures, their energy output would have to be immense. which meant one of two things. Either this civilization was highly advanced, far beyond us, or they were deliberately broadcasting their presence to the cosmos. But why? Were they trying to make contact? Or were they issuing a warning? Some scientists pointed out an eerie coincidence. When we first started sending radio signals into space, we assumed aliens would do the same. But as technology improved, we learned that light-based communication, like lasers, might be far more efficient than radio waves. Could these lights be a signal? What if they weren't cities at all, but massive beacons designed to be seen across the galaxy? If so, what were they trying to say? And then Webb detected something even stranger. The light patterns weren't constant. They flickered, dimmed, and then returned, almost like they were blinking. And when scientists analyzed the timing, they realized something chilling. The blinking was rhythmic. It wasn't random. It followed a pattern. Patterns in nature exist, but this one looked intentional, a repeating sequence, almost like a code. Had we just found a message written in light? If so, there was only one question left. Were we ready to understand it? Scientists raced to decode the pattern. If this truly was a message, it could be the most significant breakthrough in human history. But the challenge was immense. The blinking lights didn't correspond to any known mathematical sequences like prime numbers or the Fibonacci series. Common patterns scientists expect an intelligent signal to contain. Instead, they seemed deliberately complex, almost as if they were designed to be deciphered only by those with advanced knowledge. Some researchers suggested the lights could be a form of optical communication, similar to how humans use fiber optics to transmit data. If this civilization had developed light-based communication technology, their message might be encoded in ways beyond our understanding. But one thing was certain, the lights weren't random. They held meaning. Then, an even greater mystery emerged. When scientists cross-referenced old telescope data, they found something startling. The light patterns from WASP 187b weren't new. They had been blinking for decades. How had we missed this? It turned out that previous telescopes simply weren't powerful enough to detect the lights with precision. They had been written off as background noise in the data. Only with Webb's advanced infrared capabilities did the truth finally come to light. But if this civilization had been transmitting for so long, it raised a chilling question. Had they been trying to reach us this entire time? Or worse, had they been signaling someone else? Some theorists speculated that these lights weren't a greeting at all. Instead, they could be a distress signal, a warning, a desperate call for help from a dying civilization. If so, what were they warning us about? To find answers, astronomers needed more data. They focused Webb's spectrographs on the planet, scanning for chemical signatures in its atmosphere. What they found made the mystery even deeper. WASP 187b's atmosphere contained traces of unidentified industrial gases, compounds that shouldn't exist naturally. These were complex molecules, possibly the byproduct of advanced technology. On Earth, similar compounds are found in factories and power plants. This was another clue that something artificial was happening on this planet. But what truly shocked scientists was a second, even more unexpected discovery. Traces of an element rarely found in nature, but commonly associated with nuclear reactions. If these readings were correct, it suggested that WASP 187b's civilization wasn't just using energy. They were generating it on a massive scale, potentially through nuclear fusion or something even more advanced. But then came the final, most terrifying revelation. As Webb continued to monitor the planet, the blinking pattern changed. The sequence was no longer repeating in a steady rhythm. Instead, it became erratic, unstable. The lights were going out. One by one, the glowing clusters started disappearing, as if entire regions of the planet were losing power. Something was happening on WASP 187b, something catastrophic. Had we just witnessed the death of an alien civilization, or was something else responsible for the vanishing lights? Some scientists propose that whatever was causing the planet's illumination, whether cities, energy stations, or something even more advanced, was undergoing a massive disruption. It could be a natural disaster, a war, or even the final stages of an apocalyptic event. If the civilization was dying, the message in the lights could have been their last attempt to communicate before it was too late. But others feared something darker. What if the lights weren't going out naturally? What if something was turning them off? This theory sent a wave of unease through the scientific community. Could there be another force at play? Something powerful enough to extinguish an entire planet's artificial illumination? And if so, was it still out there? The implications were staggering. If this was an advanced civilization, then they may not have been alone. And if something had wiped them out, then whatever did it could still exist. Theories emerged about a cosmic threat, perhaps a natural event, like a powerful gamma-ray burst, a rogue artificial intelligence, or even an interstellar predator, a civilization-destroying force beyond anything we could imagine. And then another strange detail emerged. As scientists continued to analyze the data, they found one last light, the final brightest point on the planet. Unlike the others, this one didn't dim. It remained steady, a single, unblinking beacon. A lone survivor? A final message? Or something else? Webb's instruments continued to gather data, but the answer remains unknown. One thing, however, is certain. This discovery has changed everything. For centuries, humans have looked to the stars, wondering if we are alone. Now, we may finally have our answer, and it comes not in the form of a radio signal, but in the silent glow of distant lights, lights that once shone brightly and are now fading into the void. The search for answers continues. But one question lingers. If we have found them, have they already found us? And if so, are we next? For centuries, humanity has sought to make contact with extraterrestrial life. We've sent radio signals deep into space, hoping for a response. We've broadcasted our location to the universe, believing that if intelligent life exists, they would be peaceful. But what if we were wrong? What if we've been too loud? What if the reason the cosmos seems so silent is because advanced civilizations know to stay hidden? And what if something is listening? The mystery of WASP 187b is far from over. Scientists continue to analyze the data, searching for answers. But one thing is certain. We are no longer just asking if we are alone. Now we must ask ourselves something far more unsettling. If we are not alone, should we be afraid?